Folks, I am here with Kate Juozaitis. Juozaitis? See, I got it. Yeah. Okay. Her own friend sent me a text with her name, and he still messed it up. So I'm glad I just got that on the second take. So Kate is here. She's a therapist. She's been a therapist for over 20 years. And we are going to cover a few subjects, which is kind of dear and close to my heart, with men's mental health. We are going to cover suicide, unfortunately, and whatever else Kate feels like she wants to talk about. So we are going to start off with, and we're just going to open the floodgates, and we're just going to go as to where were you born? Where'd you start? Where'd you go to high school? And let's go.
We're going to go all the way back?
Oh, yeah, not that far back. You're not that old. You're not as old as I am, so.
I'm old enough. I'm old enough. So I grew up in Manhattan, Illinois. So if you don't know, it's
South.
Farm country.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's south of Joliet, north of Kankakee. And population was 800 when I was there. I haven't been there in a long time.
It probably hasn't grown that much.
Oh, it has. It has a metro station now. And two.
Stop it. Stop it. Slow down.
2 lights.
Slow down. The cows don't cross the street anymore. Is that what you're trying to say now?
No.
Manhattan, please don't cancel me. We're joking. Just
kind of a not.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, what else?
Where'd you go to high school? Obviously in Manhattan, I'm assuming.
No.
Okay.
There's no high school in Manhattan. So I went to Joliet Catholic. I was the first graduating class of the combined school. Woohoo! Go Hilltoppers.
Okay.
And then I grew out of I was always a city mouse living in the country. So I moved to the city.
Okay.
And I lived there for a long time, and now I'm a sad suburbanite.
And where'd you go to college?
I went to UIC, and then I went to Roosevelt for my master's.
So what made you want to get into therapy? Is that what your first, inkling out of high school? That was something that you wanted to get into? Or what was it that you actually wanted to do in high school, and then did it change as you went to college?
I had every dream and desire that I always knew that I was a helper, but I thought I was going to be a pediatrician or emergency care physician. So I had joined the fire department at 17.
Which fire department in Manhattan?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I was a volunteer and paid on call.
Okay.
And I joined following a rollover car accident that should have took my life, but didn't. And I was impressed by the people I grew up with in their fast action and how they took care of me. And even after the accident, came and checked on me and everything else. And I said, where do I sign? Full on concussion, the whole 9 yards. And everybody was like, what are you doing? I don't come from a family of people that run in and take care of other people. My mom's was a teacher. My dad was a teacher and an accountant. So clearly firefighting was absolutely
nobody in the family.
Nope.
And not just, okay.
Nope, just me. I'm the black sheep of the family.
So actually, prior to this, we had some conversations, so I can kind of totally see why the fire department kind of stuck in.
It made sense.
Oh,
it made sense to me. So I was youngest paramedic in the state of Illinois. I was also a recognized. I'm like, why can't I think? I was awarded. What? I can't think. Look at how that just happened. God, I hope you take that out.
Oh no, it's all staying in.
No.
Oh yeah.
No. I was a lifesaver of the year. I was like, why couldn't I think of what the award was? But I was 18, 19.
So why didn't you stay with the fire department? Why didn't you stay that course and then instead of going off to get into therapy?
Being a woman at that time in the fire department was rough. So there were 7 of us on a department of just over 50. And I was probably among the youngest on that. And when I moved to the city, I was actually offered a position on CFD. And
you didn't take it?
No, I'd be retired right now.
And probably some high up, whatever.
Sure.
Making $150,000 doing nothing.
Probably. But At the time, that's when like there was just a lot of bullshit going on in the fire department, and that was the hazing and all the legal that was happening back then. And I knew that because I worked at the hospital, and it was something as aware as I was, it was something of did I have the cadence and the constitution of myself at that time, like 20, 21, 22, like to be able to manage that. And I decided not for me. I was fighting people that I knew in the fire department that I grew up with at 17 years old. And I was like, I'm going to have to do that with men that I don't know. And I have to trust. And that was like my biggest thing.
Wow.
Trust a bunch of men to take care of me. And I mean, I was grilled for years just working with people that I did know.
Yeah. And then that's got to be hard being because I've kind of gone through a little bit of that. Not being a female. Obviously, I'm not a female.
You're pretty.
But being being a Hispanic in a pretty much an all-white police department. So I kind of get that feeling where it's so messed up because you don't ever feel who you are until somebody brings it to your attention that you are beneath them, or at least they try to make you feel like you're beneath them. So I kind of understand that, which really sucks. It's a terrible feeling to have because growing up, you never felt that before until a situation presents itself. And now all of a sudden it's like, what the fuck is this? Like, why do I feel like I'm inferior all of a sudden?
Yeah.
That's a shitty feeling.
Agreed. And I went back numerous times. So even when I was in graduate school, I went back to be on the Chicago Fire EAP. I had applied to work there because I was still very drawn to the fire department. That's never left me. I'm still a first responder at heart. I have walked into firehouses across the globe. Just walk by, that's a firehouse. I just walk right in like I own the place. I was in Sydney and I did that, and they sat me down and like made me a meal, and we just talked. Yeah. And
that does not surprise me because after our conversation before we even started, that totally is like your personality.
Oh yeah,
I can totally see it. Yeah.
I'm welcome everywhere. And if I'm not, I will make sure that I am. It was. I wanted to always help, and because I had such a connection with first responders in general, it's just always been my natural inclination. I've just never left it. Yeah. I guess I still bleed red.
You know,
but don't we all?
I still bleed blue. I mean, it's been over 20 years since I've been a police officer, and I would be the first one to pull over if I ever saw a police officer or fireman in need of help. I wouldn't even hesitate. It's once you're a cop, you're always a cop. That's always, regardless of what happened. Yep. You know, you're always going to bleed whatever it is. And I truly believe that, and I still do it. I mean, it's
and it comes from a place of respect and love, and like once you understand what it's like on the inside, it's just hard to forget it.
Yeah, 100%. Because there's always that brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever you want to call it.
It's not sisterhood; it's all brotherhood.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to be politically correct, but you're right. It is always a brotherhood because there's more males than there are females in any of the two department kind of thing. Yeah. But yeah, but it's a family that you're putting your life in somebody else's hands.
Sharing your life.
At least that's the way in that, too. Yeah.
You're sharing your life with people.
100%.
Yep.
So now you went and got your master's. You're in therapy. So what your practice right now, what is your main focus of your practice that you're currently doing right now for the most part?
My main...
or whatever you generalize or what you are happy with doing?
I am a generalist. I have built my career on working with personality disorders and high conflict divorce. So I'm a divorce mediator. Couples work... I know. I wear a lot of hats.
Glutton for punishment or what?
I am. But again, it comes back to I was always a person running in. So just because it's hard doesn't mean that I'm going to be scared away. Okay. And it is just built into who I am. I'm all in. I am. So I do all of that. I'm a CAP. So I'm CAP certified, so I'm a ketamine-assisted psychotherapist. So I help people with deep trauma with the use of ketamine. And in helping them work through their trauma so that they can ease a lot of their symptoms.
So since you just touched on that before I forget, so I've heard of, so I watched a lot of podcasts. So I know Sean Ryan, I know Joe Rogan just had the old governor of Texas on. Ibogaine? Do you know what Ibogaine is? Have you ever heard? Okay. So it's kind of the sort of like this hallucinogen type drug that is actually really supposed to help PTSD, people to get over it. Yeah.
You don't go over it. You don't
if I misspeak, then trust me,
through
don't.
it.
Yeah. But supposedly the Ibogaine, they're trying to make it into where the VA can use it, first responders can use it, people who had any kind of serious trauma use it. And when you said that, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, maybe you know more about this Ibogaine stuff. But and that's fine.
No,
It was just,
ketamine.
okay.
Ketamine. They've been utilizing ketamine since the Vietnam War.
Okay.
So,
And what does that do to a
So-
person's psyche, or how does it help them get past whatever they're going through or get through, like you said?
it allows them to let their guards down, because the number one reason why people stay in that trauma response is they are in a constant state of fight or flight. And so their brain has created a pathway. It's neural pathways, but of this belief that I'm in a constant state of like jeopardy or danger. And so I'm always alert, and your brain is always looking for things around you to make that true. That's why people, when they say that they're triggered,
Yeah.
right? There's something familiar that takes me back to that familiar feeling that I have,
Of that trauma.
that trauma.
Okay.
And so then I'm right there, ready to react. And so ketamine helps kind of like take some of those barriers down so that they can experience from an unconscious level, because you are hallucinating.
Okay.
And you are able then to confront those traumas without having those automatic responses.
So how is that different? So I've done therapy, and one of the therapy things that I was able to do that helped me get past one of my, I guess, childhood traumas was EMDR. And I did the light bar.
Yep.
The light bar. And I'll tell you what, it was an experience that I probably never want to have again. But it was like, it brought out so much of like, and I hate saying this because everyone's just like, oh, all this, you're a jerk at 50 years old or 40 years old because of what happened when you were 4. Whatever it was. But it just so happened that this experience that I had was when I was like 4 or 5. And that EMDR, like when I was doing this, I was 32 or 33. I just gotten divorced. The whole police department bullshit had happened. And I was just trying to figure out what the fuck am I going to do? Like, where is my life? Like, everything just like went to zero. Like, I lost everything. In my life, I felt like I just lost everything. And I decided, you know what? I need to go to therapy. And the therapist that I had at that time, she's like, you know what? We really need to dive deep and figure out like why you're having all these issues or whatever.
Automatic responses.
Yeah. And then she did the EMDR, and I cried for 2 hours straight, and she wouldn't let me leave. I mean, my session was only for an hour.
Right.
And when I did this EMDR, I was uncontrollably crying for 2 hours straight. And I couldn't stop. I was trying to stop, and I couldn't stop. But all of these things that I didn't realize I had remembered from way back when, I was living the moment, watching this bar go back, and I was right back there again as a 4-year-old in the city of Chicago, sitting on this windowsill waiting for my dad to pick me up.
Yep.
And he never came. And it like, whew, this rush. And I'm like, so is that what this ketamine kind of does to people too?
It does, except for it's a chemical experience, so it's faster.
Oh, shit. I don't know how much faster it's going to get, because that EMDR seemed like it happened pretty quick to me.
Yeah.
Watching that stupid bar, the light bar going back and forth.
But it creates a euphoria, which is what is actually better, right? Because you're not scared. You actually feel really good because of the ketamine. So it creates, I mean, people used to take ketamine in the clubs all the time, right? I don't know. People told me it made sex better. I don't know.
I don't know.
But so it creates that euphoria. So you're able then to like go to those very traumatic spaces, and I mean the body keeps score. I mean that's literally what happens. Like all of our trauma just gets stuck in our body.
Yeah.
And even though our conscious mind doesn't remember it. Our unconscious mind does. And so it's always going, no, you're not making me do that again.
Right.
No, do you remember what it was like the last time?
Yeah.
And you're like, no, dummy, I don't. Right?
So let me
So
ask-
it allows then the person, and the psychotherapy part is the most important part, is like very quickly after the patient has done a ketamine journey, I am then working with them on like what came up for you and how can we reprocess that? How would you like to reintegrate something new to replace what was bad?
So let me ask you this: since we are going to talk about men's health, and obviously I've had my own past traumas, and everybody's had their own
Everybody has
past
trauma.
has had their trauma of some sort or another. As men, though, and probably females too, because I mean, we just had, unfortunately, a Chicago police officer committed suicide just this past week, and 2 weeks ago, I think we had 4 police officers down in Houston area commit suicide, and I think 2 or 3 of them were women who committed suicide from the police department, and 1 was a male. I guess this is probably going to be more of a first responder, and then males in general kind of thing, that we compartmentalize so much shit because we don't have time to decompress, or we don't want to go over what we just saw or what we just experienced, and we put it to the side. And like you said, our bodies hold all that stress over time, and we think it's not going to come back up.
No,
we think it's
we just
never
push
going
down.
It's not.
Put-
It's never going
Put whiskey on top of that
Yeah.
shit.
Oh yeah. Hello. Tequila.
Tequila.
With it, it's never going to bother us, and it's never going to affect us. As long as we don't talk about it, it'll stay buried. Which I learned, and I talked about this in the first podcast. It came out in my relationships, and I didn't realize that. But going through therapy, I realized that all of these little compartmentalized boxes that I've had over my lifetime of all the crap that I've gone through personally started coming out, and I didn't realize it was coming out in a way that it was affecting my relationships with the women that I was with, and even with my kids. It was affecting in a negative way, but I didn't see it, and now I do. I mean, it's something
You can
that
never
I've
read the
worked
jar.
on.
You can never read the label when you're inside the jar.
Yeah, 100%. Right. And I think is that like what is going on with a lot of these first responders with why they're committing suicide, because we don't talk. And I know as for me, again, I can only refer to myself. There were times where I felt like I was in a room of 1,000 people, and I could have
completely
been
alone. Yep.
And
It's the worst feeling in the world.
And I wanted to be by myself, and I'm like literally just wanting to leave a party of 20 with the friends that I absolutely adore and absolutely love, but I wanted to get the fuck out of there because I just did not want to be here, but I didn't want anybody knowing my shit. And I didn't want to confide in anybody because I didn't want to burden anybody with my shit. You've got your own shit. You've got your own personal stuff going on. I'll listen to you all day long. I'm here for you. I'll listen to you. Dude, this is what you got to do. Or if I had a girlfriend, whatever. Hey, you're having an issue. Yeah, I'm here to listen, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not telling you my shit because this is mine. You don't need to hear my stuff. I already know you got your stuff.
Well, part of that, like being the machismo, right, attitude, that men aren't, you're not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to have feelings. Like, fuck your feelings. But it's now much more global in that people don't know how to identify or even label their feelings. I have people who come in all the time and they're just like, I'm upset. Congratulations. That's not really a feeling. And they use it all the time. It's like, upset is not a feeling. Are you upset because you're angry? Are you upset because you're frustrated? Are you upset because you're sad? Like, what is it? Upset isn't a feeling. And they're not taught that. But first responders, right, it's just on to the next, on to the next, on to the next,
right.
On to the next. And they never get to decompress. Firefighters are probably the worst because they'll just, every 12 minutes, depending on what firehouse they're in, they're out and running again, right? So their
I'm going to say you're a little biased with the fire department because I think the police department runs maybe even more than that, but I'm just going to leave it at that.
We'll fight about it later.
Yeah, we're going to argue about it.
I mean, but they're in their cars. They're in their cars constantly rolling. So it's a little bit different. It's the heightened jump in your gear and run, right? And so they have a very different nervous system response where the sitting for cops is probably the worst, right? Because your nervous system actually takes longer to like get into gear. So it's just a cardiac response, which is why cops, I think, have more heart attacks than firefighters.
Really? Okay.
You're sitting on your ass.
That makes, well, yeah, we are. Yeah. True.
Beep, beep, donut, coffee.
Wow.
Sorry.
Wow. All right. Oh,
I'm
we're
kidding,
going. Oh,
I'm
no, we're
kidding.
gonna fight after this. Yeah. No, we're,
I
okay.
mean, I'm always very happy when I see the cops that are out there playing basketball, right? Because then that's me being very serious because they're getting out.
Right.
But what was the question?
Oh, now
That
we're
doesn't
talking.
happen.
No, so I mean, so it's like one of those things that's to like, all right, so here, just the ketamine versus EMDR. Which would you say is the preferred choice, or which one's better for somebody, or does it just depend on the person themselves as to what their situation is?
Depends on the person. So ketamine, you can see a huge improvement in symptoms and affect in 6 to 8 sessions.
Okay.
And EMDR, I would say probably takes a lot longer. Because people have, no matter what, people are going to have the feels afterwards, right? Like whatever came up, you can't put it back in the box.
Right.
Like it just came up and then you're going to have to wait until like your next session.
And you know what? I quit after 2 or 3 sessions. After
That doesn't surprise me. That I've heard that a lot. I'm not EMDR trained, but I have had a lot of people who they're like, it was just so uncomfortable.
Yeah,
And they couldn't handle the waves that happen afterwards. And they do. They're spaced out a week apart. Like mine, you do a ketamine treatment, 2 days later, we're doing an integration. Ketamine, 2 days later, we're doing an integration.
Okay.
But it's also not covered by insurance.
That also could be an issue too, though. I mean, because you guys aren't cheap, so it's $200
No.
an hour or whatever it is.
Right.
No, you know what? Because I remember when I did the EMDR, you just said like, kind of. I do remember. I had a constant memory, and I was replaying a lot of that stuff in my head, like for a while, and then I think I did 2 or 3 more sessions, and then I felt like I'm fixed.
Or I just don't want to go any deeper.
I don't know if it was that or not. I mean, if I haven't really thought about it that much, but I do remember I only went like to 2 or 3 more sessions after it. So I've done therapy on and off a little bit throughout the time. I never really was. I was never really ready to go through like
All of it.
fixing myself. And I know you said you don't fix
You're
yourself.
not broken.
I'm not broken, but
You just need a roadmap back to yourself.
yeah. And I just never was ready for it because I didn't think I needed it. I thought, like, especially when I did that EMDR, that I was okay. I got to that, whatever that deal was, and I'm good to go. Like, but I didn't deal with all the other little boxes. There was one box out of however many that I had not realized that I had still constantly cut down. So,
And that's very common. Most people, they go to therapy because they're like, what's the quick fix? Can you give me a pill?
yeah.
No. Like, we all have trauma, and yes, like, there's a way through. And do you want to do all of the work? Or do you just want a quick response? And that is totally okay.
Yeah.
I want people to meet the truest, most realistic, authentic version of themselves.
And I can only wonder, like, for first responders, how does that affect? So I wonder if there's like this stigma when it comes to first responders, like how, if I go to therapy, how is that going to affect my job? Like, would I lose my job because I'm telling you something? And not to say that I want to put a gun in my mouth or anything like that, but at the same time, my head is not straight. Like, I just saw whatever. I mean, my own past experiences when I was a cop, there's still shit that I could tell you in my memory, burned in. I could sit here and tell you exactly everything of what I saw, what happened, and how I felt about it. But it's never going away. But I've dealt with it, and
To the best of your capacity.
to the best of what I don't. I mean, there's still some stories that I think I'll probably start crying if I did, because go back to living that moment again, like that.
Yeah.
And I would almost have to imagine firefighters and police officers have been doing it for over 20 something years, and being in any big time
ER
city
doctors and
to
nurses.
where you're seeing all this trauma every day on a regular basis that you don't ever have time to really decompress. And when you do, the last thing you want to do is relive that moment again. And for me, I was told, don't take your shit home. Leave your shit at work. When you go home, enjoy your family, enjoy your wife, enjoy your kids, enjoy that life away from what you just saw, kid getting shot in the head and brain matter all over the place, or a baby getting run over in a parking lot and splattered and, whatever. Yes, I've seen that. So it's like, I don't want to relive that shit.
Just tuck it away deep, deep down inside of you.
I mean, and with my ex-wife, she would constantly ask me, like, how was work? It was great. It was fine.
Lies.
What happened? Yeah.
Right, but then your relationship suffers because you're building your relationship on a foundation of garbage. Right? So you're not being honest, and it starts there.
Yeah.
Because then she can't trust you, and let's be honest, you can't trust you either. And then the cookie crumbles.
Well, you know what? Okay, so then for me, it kind of goes also back to I'm the man in the relationship. I'm not going to show you that I'm vulnerable. I'm not going to show you that I'm going to cry because of what I just saw.
Why not? What's wrong with vulnerability? Oh, now I'm going to get hot.
So no. All right. So now.
Go.
No, I mean, I get now. But even now, I mean.
Vulnerability is a superpower, and we need to reframe that. Vulnerability is a superpower because it's what makes us human.
Okay. So.
And draws and drives connection. We need connection.
And I'll agree with that. But you know what?
Why is there
social media, because social media and the videos that I've seen, and again, I don't want to generalize, but it is going to be a generalization of that women nowadays, they say they want a strong man. They don't want to see him being shown emotions or whatever. And I've seen a few videos where they're married, husband and wife, and the man, there was one that really stuck with me. It was, he was looking, and this sounds stupid, but for a man, I understand it. He had this spool of rope or whatever it was, and he had it for 20 something years. And he was sitting there and he's like, all my life of doing all these different things in my life, like the spool is almost running out. And he's trying to explain to his wife that this is like, this means something because over my 20 years of life, like this thing is stuck with me kind of thing. And it's just like all the things I've built, all the things that I've done with it. I've been with you and whatever. And his wife basically looked at him like, why are you looking at this stupid spool? Like, who cares? Like, why are you getting emotional over a stupid thing of rope? And so she belittled how he felt. And then he literally said, you know what? You don't get it. I'm done. I'm not telling you anything anymore. So we shut down. Because of how I've had this for myself, that you want to be vulnerable, but at the same time, you're afraid that if you show too much emotion, I hate to say this word, you're a pussy. You're a wimp. You're a wuss. You're not a man. You're not strong. Because women want guys that are, bold, big,
They don't
whatever.
want that. They don't want that though
They
either.
say that, but then at the same time, actions speak louder than words.
Do you want me to answer this?
Yes.
Okay. Women don't know what they want.
Hallelujah! Somebody said it for real. No, just kidding.
I say it a lot. I say it a lot in a lot of women's forums. Like if you do not know what you want, I tell women all the time, and I tell men too. You have to make a list of 100 things that you like about yourself. 100 things. Most people can't do it. Now, on top of that, you have to make a list of 100 things that would be compatible with who you are that you are looking for in somebody else. I talk to most people, they have 10 things. Fun fact. When dating and looking for a life partner, you'll be lucky if you get 10%. So if you've got 10 things that you're looking for in a person, you're getting one. And by the way, that's sad. But 100, you'll be lucky if you get 10 to 15. That's a solid person. I mean, they still got some work to do.
We all do. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
We all do. And we're going to continue to evolve.
But I think that's where, I mean, again, I can only speak about myself and other friends that I've spoken about is that it always comes down to you just don't want to show that vulnerability because you don't know how the reaction you're going to get. And then if you don't get the reaction that you're actually looking for and hoping for.
Right, because men don't feel safe either.
Yeah. And then that just devastates, like, how can I confide in this person anymore? Like, I can't tell her, and I shouldn't say just her, but it could go both ways. But more so, I think with men, with all of the things that we have been taught, you have to be the provider. You have to make sure everything's all right.
That's
you always
not
have to
true
make sure
anymore.
that she is, taken care of, and she, the kids are whatever, and you work 12 or 14 hours. And when you come home, you better hopefully be happy and satisfy her and take care of her and whatever she wants. And
We'll get into the satisfy her thing. We'll get into the satisfy
so,
her thing.
But then it's like, God forbid you lose your job, or God forbid they cut your hours, and then it's like, okay, we built this whatever, and now how do I tell her I can't provide that any longer? She's gonna leave me. Is she gonna leave me, or how am I gonna continue what we've had because I'm the one who's bringing in the most, possibly, or whatever it is? And if you don't, and if she brings in more and you bring in less, you feel like this a little bit more because
Why?
you're not being
But then you don't have a partnership.
the man.
But you don't have
Okay.
a partnership, right? That everything that you just said, then it's all transactional.
But there's a lot of relationships like that, though.
But why? That's because people don't demand or define better for themselves. It's really that.
So how?
Everything has become a transaction.
Yeah,
Right?
it has.
Dating becomes a transaction, right?
God, I'm going through it.
Men dating right now, it's a transaction. I bought you dinner, you have to put out.
I wouldn't say that. No. Well, here, I've been out of the. I haven't dated for the last year and a half.
I'm
since
not
I
going to not
broke-
say that.
No, well, I haven't been dating anybody for the last year and a half, only because I've been working on myself and going back to therapy, and I was going 3 times a week, trying to go through,
Not around.
go through and work past the things that I've had and carried
Yeah.
in my boxes because they finally had enough.
Right.
So
Including some of these bullshit ideas you have about relationships.
yeah.
Okay.
And I said this in my last podcast that, I got to take ownership of my own shit, of what I contributed to our demise. And, obviously she wasn't perfect either, but I think had I possibly done things differently in a certain way in our relationship, or responded, had more empathy towards her feelings of when she would bring things up, and I wouldn't be like just blown off. But then I got butthurt. Like, again, I'm trying to be vulnerable and say something, and then I didn't get the response that I wanted. I'm like, all right, I'm cutting you out. I can't say anything to you anymore. I'm not. You already showed me that I can't be vulnerable with you, and I'm not doing it again. Unfortunately, my mom passed away during that time, and it was early on in our relationship. So it was a lot of things. It was just a lot of emotional things that most relationships don't go through right away like that. So that didn't help.
Right.
That didn't help in my situation. But I'm sure there's probably a lot of situations that something happens along early on, too soon, or whatever the case is, and we don't deal with them with the right way. And then if you bring up therapy, like for me, the longest time therapy was bullshit. There was no way I was doing therapy.
That's most people. I would say most people, especially in couples, their belief is that if we're going to therapy, that is the last stone, that is the last leaf, and we're filing for divorce. And I have people who come in and they say that all the time. They're just like, we're just here because we have to be, and we're doing it for the kids.
Going through the motions.
Right.
Just to say we tried and did everything we could. Yeah.
And I tell them all the time, if you have literally a shot glass, I'm pretty magical. But if you have a shot glass worth of hope,
Yeah.
because that's all it takes. If you have a shot glass of hope, I can take you anywhere. But you both have to come in with a shot glass full of hope.
Yeah.
If you don't, I'll work you the other direction too. But I can help them do it with kindness and compassion so that it ends in a healthy way as opposed to being like the great demise.
So how do you deal with somebody like me? I come in.
Smack
I
them
was
around.
a first responder.
Smack him around.
Wake up and stop with your
I'm going to be your bitch. Just kidding.
I love that. But I mean, so because this is where again, so going back to when I was in high school, I had a buddy of mine who committed suicide, and I was like, he's only 20 years old, and it was like, what the fuck were you doing? What? I know what possessed
How
him.
did
And I
it
know
get
what
so
happened.
bad?
Yeah, and I trust me, and I've been there.
I've lost 13 people successfully to suicide. And the first one, I was 12.
Okay, yeah, and I was 20 when I lost my first guy, a friend from high school, but I know what it is. Where like I was just talking about the 1,000 people in the room, and you want to be yourself, and it literally for me, it just happened less than a year ago for me. It just I didn't know where my life was going. Things were just shit, going to shit, and and everything was bad, to where I contemplated, taking my own life, and it's not a proud moment. But I
It's a
ended up,
real moment. It's not supposed to be proud. It's just supposed to be real.
and it was, but you know what? It was it like for days leading up to that moment when I literally was like, I'm just done. I'm done. And it was, everything kept on just closing and closing and closing and closing. And that's how I felt for days. Like just everything just kept on, like there was nothing, and I couldn't see past. It was so hard to see past like any bright light, any future, anything that was like a glimmer of hope. There was none. There was zero. And at the time I was living with my cousin. I felt terrible because I did my podcast with him the first time, and I felt terrible. And I don't even think I even touched on that with him. And I literally was like, if I'm going to do it, I can't do it here. I'm living in this apartment. I have to go in my car and do whatever I'm going to do. And I ended up texting at the time. I texted my ex-girlfriend at I think it was like 1:00 in the morning. And I sent her this TikTok, like, I don't even remember what it was. And she called me like literally a minute later. What is wrong with you? This is not you. I know this is not you.
Well, first of all, I'm glad you're still here.
Thank you.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath in. You're good. And secondly, I'm grateful she took the call.
So was I.
I hope you've told her.
No.
Maybe you should.
No, I haven't. But you know what?
We'll work on that.
But this is where I think sometimes, like, moving past that. So, I don't know, this happened on a Tuesday or something. And I, like, the next day I felt better. I was like, okay, it's another day. But then Thursday, and this was during the summer, this was in June last year, I went golfing. I'm like, because golf is like and working out are my two saving graces for me. And I went and played golf, and she called me and said, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm getting ready to tee off. You know what? She was like, oh, you're fine. You were fine. I'm like, I really wasn't. But I wasn't going to sit here and try to convince her. No, I really wasn't. But I think sometimes, I don't know, maybe if that's the kind of attitude some people have, like, you really weren't going to do anything.
People regret
whatever.
those moments. People really do regret those moments when they dismiss the reality of somebody else.
Because at the time, I can honestly say for me, golf was my happy place.
Your outlet.
And I was trying to, after that experience of like that overwhelming of what I went through that night, like had she not picked up, I don't know what would happen. Honestly, I can say that.
Yeah.
But she did.
That's all anybody who has those thoughts and those feelings, that's all they want. They just want one person to see them. There's actually, there was a story about a gentleman that walked to the Golden Gate Bridge, because lots of people throw themselves off the Golden Gate Bridge. And he had pursued and completed his destiny. And the cop had gone back to his apartment, because after they had identified him and everything else, and on his desk was a letter that said, if one person looks me in the eye and says hello, I won't do it. Like, could you imagine? It's all it would have taken, one person.
Yeah.
I've had that experience lots of times. My brother told me very casually over pizza when I was 16 years old that he was going to kill himself. And my best friend was with me at Pizza Hut. And I just remember being like in utter shock. And my brother and I do not have the best of relationships. And we were kind of pitted against each other. Unfortunately, so it was because of me. He really believed that I was what was holding him back, and that was very sad. But I saw him, right? And I did everything that I needed and should have done to make sure, and he's still here.
Right. Good.
And yeah. But that's happened to me numerous times where it's like somebody has reached out to me through Facebook and I'm at my lowest. I will take that call every single time. What do you need?
Yeah.
How can I help you? Like, and if that means that I'm going to be on the phone with them for an hour, I guess I'm going to have a sleepless night. But if it means that they're still here, worth everything.
Yeah, to have to go through, the what ifs. Mm-hmm. I can't even. That's not something I ever want to like go through. And I thought about my daughters, but at the time when you're in that moment,
Doesn't matter.
Nothing matters. Nothing matters at all. And it's like, and I've talked to my cousin a little bit about it, but I don't know if I ever got that in depth. So he's going to find out now what I was thinking about that night, but at the same time, like, how do guys or even women, I mean, whoever's going through this shit of like this, that you feel like you're in that circle of like, just, there is nothing and nobody that you can talk to because you don't want to dish your shit on anybody else. Everybody else got their own garbage.
But that's always going to be true. Everybody is always going to have something. That's life. And you're not a burden. I don't know where these thoughts like I'm a burden for sharing where I am and what I'm going through has come from.
It's so, well, okay. So after that happened, I ended up going.
It's the story you've told yourself. I'm
yeah,
a burden.
It is.
Nobody told you that.
It probably is because after that following weekend, I ended up reaching out to two very close friends of mine. They're married, and I told them exactly what was going on. And the first thing they said, "Get your ass over here. Get your ass out to Glenview and let's go. Get over here."
Probably, come on in. Yeah. Give me a...
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's all you need.
Yeah.
Those are the real people. And they're out there. They exist.
But you don't want to be that guy.
Why?
Because you just don't.
Says who?
It's just how we're made up and how we've been taught to not express your emotions. I mean, here, look. We're cutting that shit out.
Take a deep one. We gotta cut that shit out.
Yeah.
He got lucky.
Yeah. I told you were going to get me.
You're welcome.
We're cutting that out.
Why?
But yeah,
it's real.
No, but you know what? It's just, yeah. They even said straight out, 2 a.m, 3 a.m, you fucking call us.
Yeah.
We don't care.
But it's the story you told yourself. I can't be a burden to somebody else. Well, you not being here would also be a burden to somebody else. I can tell you all of the people that are been and gone, I'm going to think about them forever. I do. Actually, his name's Joe Robbins, and he is the first person who passed away when I was a kid. And he is a lot of why I do what I do. Mm-hmm. Because that was so impactful to me and impressionable at a young age. And I have reached out to his family, and I've told them like his their loss, his death has inspired me all along the way. And he was 16, so it's not like he had this big life, but he still had the power that now at damn near 49, I still think about him 30 plus years later.
Yeah.
So what would he have done then if he lived?
So this is going to throw you for a little bit of a loop, and I'm not looking for sympathy or any kind of bullshit. It just
Good, 'cause I'll punch you in the face.
So I have a remembrance always of my friend from high school because I adopted his daughter. So I live with that every day. And unfortunately, right now we're not in great terms. It is what it is. But I've always had that memory, watching her grow up and see him every day, and she's beautiful, absolutely beautiful girl. But I live with that, always seeing her and knowing that of what he did. That's always a remembrance of, like, why? Look at what you missed out on. This beautiful girl, married, 2 kids. You should be granddad.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, yeah. So going back to, like, you just don't know what you're missing out because you're in this closed circle. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
Always.
And it's like, I guess one of the reasons why I want to do this podcast and have somebody like you on, a therapist, is that to show that there is something more worth past that moment in time.
You don't know what's on the horizon. I have had so many people in desperate places. Desperate, whether it was a cop that was going to lose his job because he said something really off color, and immediately that he's unfit. I've had a number of them, and be told you're unfit for duty. Okay, well then fucking rehab them. Put in a little bit of work. Give them some time. Help them. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
I've had fire departments. I actually had a fire chief, and I have probably changed his life. He just retired.
All right.
Yes, and he's next on my list. He'll be getting a phone call soon, because those that retire from any of those positions of being a first responder in the first 3 to 5 years, they have an uptick of almost 75% risk
of dying. Mm-hmm. But and why is that? Do you know what's is it like all the stress, like it just finally like catches up with them, or
it's
they
a
just
peak? I mean, yeah, your nervous system is shot. You don't know how to regulate. You don't have people around you who've understood what you've been going through to help you co-regulate, because that's what happens. This whole idea of like, men don't need this. You needed this as a baby. Your parents co-regulated with you, and if they didn't, your parents were assholes. Put that in a book.
So should this be something then, like, for all first responders, that they are like automatically like part of their transition of leaving their first responder, whether it's a fire department or a police department, that they should have to go through like some kind of therapy after that, like reintegration, like military does, like when they come back from war, all these guys, like supposedly there's some reintegration. Yeah, I mean,
wouldn't that be nice if they actually did that?
But, yeah. I mean, but shouldn't there be something like that spending all this bullshit money on the fucking things that we're spending bullshit money on right now, that should be one of the things that we take care of our first responders, to be like, hey, when you retire, you need to be able to reintegrate. Like, your life is no longer the police department. You're no longer a fireman. You are
your
find
purpose.
Your happiness. Yeah,
you should find your purpose.
Find your purpose. But your purpose is.
It looks different. No, it just looks different. You're still doing the same thing. I know my purpose. My purpose has transitioned multiple times in my jobs, but me knowing what my purpose has been all along, I've been following the same track, just doing it differently, right? All I do is I iterate. I just become the next best version of who Kate is. By the way, Kate is great.
Well, you know what?
And I say it all the time.
So when I lost my job and I was blackballed from the police department, I didn't know what I was going to do. I had a hard time.
You needed me then.
Trying. I might need still now. I don't know. We'll see. I had a hard time trying to figure out like what, and I made a joke of it. I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up. Even now, like with the mortgage industry being a shit show right now, still, I'm like, I just don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up. And one of the things when we talked about it is like, You asked me, why did I do this? Why am I doing podcasting? Because this is outside of my realm. This is something I've never thought that I would be able to do. Because one, I hate the way I look on TV. I hate the way I look, and I hate my voice. And I don't even want to see myself on video. I have, Rob, my guy, who I'm like, dude, just take care of my shit because I don't want to know. I don't want to see myself.
Airbrush him
I think
too?
I look like, I'm like, I think I look like shit. So, but at the same time,
you just got to be who you are.
And I've never been good with that per se. Like I just never was okay with being in my own skin. I was always like, I always portrayed myself as, and always trying to help others kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And like we were talking
yourself.
before. Yeah. And I think going on these 2 vacations that I've only ever done in my entire life, just recently, going through this transition that I'm going through for myself in the last year and a half, of going on these vacations with just me, like no girlfriend. I'm not going to meet up with friends. The first one I did, but I went 3 days to Puerto Rico and I was there by myself, and it was the weirdest fucking thing I've ever done. I had no idea, like, what am I going to do? Like, I can actually go eat dinner by myself without asking, hey, where do you want to go or what do you want to do? I was like...
Did you enjoy it?
Wow, that's kind of a story. I did, but it was just weird because I was always waiting for, like, somebody should be telling me, hey, let's go do this. Okay, let's go. Or I already had something set up like, hey, we're going to go golf. Hey, we're going to go at this time. I already had stuff.
Distraction.
I had nothing set up for myself other than where I was staying. And I knew the generalization of like what was around me, but I didn't know where I was going to go eat. Did I want to go to the beach? Did I want to go play golf? I brought my golf clubs with me. Did I really want to go play golf? What time did I want to go? Like, am I going to waste my...
But that's, like, all of that, most people cannot sit with themselves. I have patients ask me all the time, what do you do for fun? Well, what don't I do for fun? I'm like, I do a lot of things. But they're like, what do you really enjoy? And I was like, best as I lay on my couch in my living room in silence. I have chimes in the front of the house and I have chimes in the back of the house, and they with the wind. And I'm like, that is the best. And they're like, what? I'm like, no, it is. It's literally the best. And they're just like, you don't have like music on? No. Podcast? No. TV? Like just that. I stare at the ceiling and I just sit with myself.
See that? So for me on vacation, that kind of was me because I didn't have a TV in my room in Puerto Rico. I didn't have a TV when I was in Mexico, so I had to sit with myself, or I had to go and keep myself busy doing something.
Do you know what happens when you sit with yourself that long? You get to hear your own stories. You get to hear the bullshit you tell yourself. You get to hear all of the barriers you have created for why you don't do whatever the fuck you want to do. And here we are.
Here we are. And this is where this was born. I mean, prior to me going on my vacation in Mexico for 10 days, which I booked out of the blue, this is how this was kind of born, because this is something that I was, for some reason, it was in my head. Do it. Who gives, whatever. Mm-hmm. Fuck it. If it works, it works. If it don't, then at least you did it. And
I had a little fun.
And you gave it a shot. And originally I was going to do this with somebody else, and they bailed on me, and I'm like, whatever. And I'm like, I'm tired of counting on other people. I can only count on myself. And I was like, if I'm going to count on myself, and this is what I was like in Mexico telling myself, that no matter what, you can only count on you.
You are your own best friend.
Or your worst enemy. Hmm? However you want to look at it.
Choose wisely. But who wants to be their own worst enemy?
But we all are.
Nope.
Because
I'm a positive potato.
But here, I know.
I'm a positive potato.
But here we are. That again. Had I not gone and been listening to myself and being like, just do it. Who gives a fuck? Stop worrying about what everybody fucking thinks about you, or what you fucking look like, or what people may think you sound like, and be you. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't sure I was gonna be able to be vulnerable like that. Like, I wanted to be not stoic. I wanted to have fun, but to be emotional on camera, fuck that. I'm not being a puss. And here I am. Thanks. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. But you know what? At the same time, I just want to be me, and I just want to have fun at it, and whatever comes from it, great. If this continues on, great. If it doesn't, I tried it, and I completely got out of my zone of that. I probably never would have done this before. So
And you'll just go on to the next thing.
whatever that is, and I'm trying to follow the path, and I don't know what that path is that God has for me, and maybe this is it. I don't. There's something bigger. I have no idea, but I'm trying to listen and be a part and be
Flow.
but yet be here and be present. Where I know I've never really been present. I've always been like, what's the next? Where's the next? Where's the next?
Yep.
Where over this last year and a half of this journey that I've been on for myself, I'm trying to be more present and just worrying about what's today and not tomorrow, and what's 3 weeks from now, and where am I going to do this, and worrying about it to where I don't sleep. I'm waking up every 2 hours, 3 hours, like completely in like a basket case of like, what the fuck am I going to do? Or why is this not happening? Or I got to do this and I got to do that. And I know I'm not the only one. I know there's a lot of guys and a lot of women probably.
Yeah.
Especially if they don't have a husband and they got kids that they're raising on their own and whatever. It's always that there in the back of your mind that you're sweating like what's going to happen, but you miss everything that's in front of you because you're always not enjoying today or right now in this moment of the hour I'm with friends or whatever.
Right. But what people don't realize is like that I got to get on to the next thing, the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. That's actually trauma. That is actually a trauma response because that's overthinking.
And I'm an overthinker. I know that about me.
Stop it.
I read the book. Overthinking, being an overthinker and how to overcome that. And I read it and 100%, I'm always worrying about what next. And I'm trying not to. I'm trying to
You don't try. You either do it or you don't do it.
Well, I'm doing it now.
Okay, good.
Because I'm here
Because
and I'm
Yoda
enjoying
would
it.
say there is no try. Do or no do.
Yeah. And I have been.
I think Yoda just became like Latino.
He did Yoda. But so again, going back to like a part of this of what I'm doing is like, and I want to talk more about men's health and not that I want this podcast to be all about that because it's not,
No.
Fun. I want to have fun thing, but this is a topic
We
that
can
I do
have fun
find
making fun of men. No.
Yeah. But I do want to have like where people get something out of this conversation and be like, I hit something or dude, I felt that way. And you can get help. You don't be afraid of going to a therapy. You're not a puss. You're not weak. And if somebody tells you you're weak for doing it and just suck it up and do it, those days are done. It's over. We got to break that cycle.
How many more people do we want to lose? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. How many more people do we want to lose?
Yeah. And especially with our military. I mean, military, we lose, 20 a day, 25 a day in suicide of all those are veterans. And I'm a military veteran. Thank God I never had to go to war. But at the same time, I still see, and hear all these veterans that are committing suicide because of everything that they saw, everything they went through. And there is nothing for them, or they feel like there's nothing for them to be able to help them to get past that and transition.
The countless friends that I have had, they're just, and they would sit with me like you at the bar and they'd be like, you're not going to get to me. Like, what? What do you think I'm going to do? You're not going to put your magic. I'm just here to listen. Like, and that's it. And what happens if I do? You can't get out, just stuff it down.
Because it comes back to the being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And we don't ever want to show our vulnerability and show weakness.
But why? Right? Why?
It's
because
a man
somebody's
thing.
going to, no, don't do that. Because they think something. And it's your story. It's not my story. It's your story. You think somebody's going to think you're weak, you're this, you're that, whatever the labels it's your story. It's not my story. I'm going to look at you as like, you're just a person. You're a person who is carrying something that is too heavy for them. That's it.
You're right, it is. And it is in our own head. And it's been in mine. Mm-hmm. To where,
it's in yours too.
It's 100%. You're 100% right. It's we make that story in our own head, whether it's true or not. That's what we believe because that's what we're perceiving in our own self of our projection. And it's,
Nobody's doing it to you. You're doing it to yourself.
But
and you can change the narrative. It's just that. Once you know what the narrative is, you can change it.
I mean, I know it's part of like positive thinking or negative thinking. You can change that narrative. I think it's just harder unless you really want it, I guess, is really what it comes down to. If you really want to change the narrative of I'm not weak, and if somebody tells me I'm weak, go fuck yourself.
So what? Right. It comes down to what?
And I guess the people that you surround yourself with are the ones that really care about you. And if they do truly love you and want to be in your life, they're not going to say that. And I learned that. Mm-hmm. I learned that my circle, they're not going to look at me like, man, what a puss. Like, this guy's, I learned that. But if you have too big of a circle, you're going to get that, I think.
Sure.
And I think there's a lot of people that need to allow the people that are around them to tell them, and hey, I need your help. Like, I'm not good. And be okay with that and accept that help. But I think there's so many that just can't and don't. I mean, obviously, we've seen that with the suicides that we have in the police department.
Well, and I think a lot of that is also
in the military.
Very circumstantial. Very circumstantial. Like, that's something, because a lot of them seem to be, especially lately here in the city, a lot of them have been around them getting divorced. And is that sense of abandonment. And it absolutely triggers something way deeper for them, because that's almost always what is occurring. And it's twofold. Like, when you're not being authentic and when you're not being real and you're not sharing with the person that you are with, even if you think that it's just too much for them, let them make that decision. You don't control that. But you've already abandoned the relationship. You've abandoned yourself before you abandoned them. You abandoned you.
Yeah.
And that's the harder pill to swallow.
See, and I think too, like when you get around a bunch of guys, girls, whatever, and you're in that same job, nobody wants to talk about it, so they all make light of it. Mm-hmm. And
it actually, maybe at that moment, if you get one person, because again, I am who I am. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I've dated countless cops and firefighters and doctors and the bodies behind me.
Nice. All right. Yeah.
But it happened every time. Every time I would walk in, and it was I would just sit down and just be like, "What do you guys want to talk about?" And it's just who I am, but B, the moment I did, man, they would all talk. They would talk about the difficulties they were having in their marriage. They would talk about the difficulties they were having with their kids. Some of them would even talk about the difficulty they had with whatever, like, last call they were just on, or what happened between, the fire department and the police department, and like how that's affecting them. Like, if they lost somebody else that's on the beat. And it was like, okay, but like, now what are you going to do with that? Right? And here's just some simple help, because like going into the bottle ain't going to help you.
But that's the easiest thing to kill the pain.
It just prolongs the pain. We got to stop that narrative too.
And I did learn that. I learned that the hard way, though.
Oh, cheers to that.
Cheers.
Oh, I look like an asshole.
I previously I did that. When I was feeling a certain way, I medicated myself, and I just did this. And I would go to the bars and I would drink and whatever. Where again, going back to the last year, it was golf, or I'm working out now, mm-hmm. and I'm taking care of myself. So if I ever feel like something happened, I'm like, all right, I got to go to the gym and walk it off, work it out, and then when I'm done, I'm like, okay, I'm glad I didn't like do what I used to do.
Sure.
Of just jumping back into this, and because it was a shit show. It really did. It just turned into a shit show for me. Bad scenario.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So is that what you primarily do then? I mean, so I know it's not, no, because we did talk about something. No, we are going to get into a little fun here, because not to go into deep dive, it is what it is. I mean, if anybody who's listening to this and everybody who's watching, I hope that you guys get help, figure it out.
Yeah.
Know your circle, go to your friends that you are really close to, even family. Don't feel weak, because you're not.
This is where I bust into song. You are not alone.
Oh my God. Really?
I am here for you. No, I'm not going to sing anymore.
Okay, thank you. We'll fix the volume so that way you'll sound like Whitney Houston or something.
It's Michael Jackson.
Oh, is
Michael
that-
Jackson.
So you do that part, and I know there's
do a
something.
lot.
Yeah, what's the other part that you do?
I do a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. So I'm also a certified sex therapist, which, again, very helpful because
I feel like I'm a little kid. Like I'm gonna leave. All right, we're gonna.
I mean, people have problems. People have problems. They have problems with intimacy. They have problems talking about intimacy. They have, problems completing. They have problems with it even in their idea. Like, I'm going to throw, Dear Don, sorry, babe. He's my fiance. I'm like,
Oh my God, Don! It wasn't me. I didn't bring this. We did not discuss this prior to.
nope. No, but he knows. He said I was the first woman that ever told him that sex was not just for orgasm. And he was like, what? And I was like, well, you're never going to be able to get a woman off every single time. And if you think that, she's lying.
Okay, hold on. So sex therapy. So when I think of sex therapy,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, are you actually going? Because we've all seen HBO back in the days. Like they're actually going into. You never saw that? There's like a show on HBO back. While
The
like
Bunny
the therapist,
Ranch?
no, that there is a therapist who actually goes into the bedroom, like
Oh,
with the
they used
couple.
to do that. I mean,
okay, that's all I know of like
God,
what
no.
sex therapy is.
I don't want to know people that much. No.
So
I mean, I have gone to people's houses and I've taken a tour of their intimate space, and I'm just like, does this feel sexy to you? And I help walk them through like creating a sensual sanctuary, which they should have. I mean, why are you making weird faces?
How do you? Because I want to. What am I missing, or what have I missed? Maybe that's where my relationships are gonna miss. I don't know.
Maybe.
Other than my own shit, but maybe I didn't set up the candles right or the pillows right, or
You have
what
to know,
was it?
but you have to know what your partner feels is sensual and appealing and is going to turn them on.
But how do you know that in the
your
first month
bedroom-
or 2 months or 3 months
Oh
of
my
dating
God,
someone when you're
not? You're
Okay.
not. You should be having very open conversations about the importance of sex and what they expect, and and some of their myths. I mean, it should be a conversation. Maybe not 2 months in. I mean, I do, but I am who I am. I've met me. That happened.
okay.
Yeah, poor dear Don. We're just going to pray for Don. because
Yeah, Don, I don't know if I'll ever meet you, but that's gonna be a little weird conversation after having that.
Poor guy wants to marry me. Yeah, we just pray for him. I'm like, yeah, forever is a really long time, but you're definitely going to die first.
So, all right. So going back to like setting up the room in a certain, like what is like,
So
what,
that's not for like newbies. That's for like people who've been together for a while and clearly like the relationship has gotten stale and somebody wants to have more sex and the other person doesn't, and they don't understand why they're now incompatible. Like it's always that, well, we used to like bang all the time.
And I've got a headache.
Right. And that was before what? 3 kids, 2 job transfers. Like, right. Like this person's now tired. And when are you trying to have sex? Well, every day. Good luck there. That's not how that works anymore. You have priorities, responsibilities, and probably little people. Right. But helping people navigate that because they don't know how to do it themselves. It's really funny. I mean, not funny,
so when
but
you
like
walk
funny,
in,
strange.
I mean, what is it that you're looking for? What is it that you're like? What Zen? I guess if that's where if you did walk in, if you did do that,
do not do the home visits. I don't do those anymore. I have.
Okay.
I have because people really did need that. Now I give them kind of like a script of like really understand yourself. Like, what are the things that like, trip your whatever.
Now I'm looking at my apartment right now. I'm like, what do I
What
have
do I got?
to make it feng shui sexual?
But it's not feng shui. But it is essential. Like, it is like when you walk in, it is going to be like something that is like appealing and makes you go, yeah, like that's sexy. This is sexy. This is our space. It is our sanctuary. And I do say that a lot. Like, I've had people, I've told them, I was like, you got dog cages in your room? They're like, yeah, we love our dogs. Great. Not in this room. They can go in any other room. The dog's got to go. I had one woman fight me. She's like, but my German Shepherd sleeps in my bed with me all the time. Yeah, it's, well, where's your husband sleeping? In the other room. Yeah, no, he's got to be in the bedroom and the dog can go in the other room. And that was a fight with me. I won. But, you know, and it was like, well, when you imagine like a romantic escape, what do you want? And then have them work on that as a project. Like, create that space. TVs, go. Unless that TV is only going to be watching porn.
So you're okay with porn in the bedroom?
Why wouldn't I be? I
There's a
am
lot of people
not
who just
here.
don't-
I am
Okay.
not here to yuck somebody else's yum.
See, I've always been no TV in the bedroom.
Right.
TV's for two things, or the bedroom's for two things: sleeping.
Suddenly now he can't say the word.
Fucking. All right, yeah, that's it.
Right.
That's the only thing the bedroom's good for. Those two things.
Well, I'm gonna help you. It's sex, making love, or fucking, and all three are perfectly okay. Because you need a little bit of both.
both. All three.
Yep, you need a little bit of all of them.
Okay. Yeah. So
But yeah, I'm so like it's that kind of stuff. But it also plays a role, right, with men in particular. So I will come at men because they're just like, I've had so many men say, well, the only way I know that I'm loved is, and I was like, if what? Well, if you know, if you come, they're like, yeah. I was like, oh, well, then that's really sad. So, like, all of this other stuff that she doesn't feel like love to you? And I've had people, they're like, oh, I'm a sex addict. Tell me why. Well, because, you know, I'm always trying to have sex with her. I'm humping her leg or I masturbate 5 times. I'm like, in a day? Okay, that might be a problem. Like, where do you find the time? And how do you clean yourself up? But
yeah. Hello.
it's like, how do you have enough still in you? How hydrated are you? Like, these are my thoughts. But and there, I was like, okay, so what you're telling me then is like you're not satisfied, right? Because coming isn't enough. So then you're missing something. And it's usually that what they're missing is connection.
Yeah.
And men need connection. We don't think they need connection. They tell themselves they don't need the connection. I just need like a Neanderthal. No, you don't. You need connection. Which means what? Vulnerability. Huh. Look at how that came back around.
I knew you were going to bring that. Yeah.
Yeah, look
but
at that.
it is actually true because, yeah, I mean, when you're with the person that you want to be intimate with and they're just like, I got a headache, not today.
Starfish, just take me.
And then you feel rejected. And
Yeah.
then you're afraid because if that's a consistency thing
Yeah.
that happens, then you don't want to ask or even start because then it's like, not now, not this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired, whatever. And you just like, well, fuck it. Then why am I even trying? Because I'm done.
And there's so much more to it. Is like it's also about how you set it up.
We're Neanderthals.
Oh, no kidding.
It's like our hey, babe, you ready?
Whack, whack.
Don't you remember at dinner I patted you on the ass? Let's go.
But I was grabbing your boobies while you were doing dishes.
Or it comes down
Right,
to sometimes, and I did have this in a relationship where it was tit for tat. Like,
Oh, it's transactional?
Yes. It was, if you give me a massage, then
I'll consider
I'll
it.
consider it. Yeah. And at that point, it was like, for me, I'm like, all right, do I want to give her a massage right now? Because I'm tired. But I don't want to, but if I want to have sex, then that's what I have to do because otherwise I'm not getting it. Mm-hmm. And it's already been 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And I'm not going to say what relationship this was. It was a while ago.
You were married.
But it was.
You were married.
I wasn't going to say that.
I'm going to say it for you.
It was. Like, if you give me a massage, then, okay, then we will. And
Do you
I'm
know
like,
what the sexiest thing is to a woman?
is this? Do you want me to respond?
I mean, it would be nice.
Or was this a trick question?
When a man takes something off of her plate, when he takes some of the mental load off of her shoulders.
Like what?
Jesus Christ, anything. You make a meal.
Okay, no. I'm gonna completely disagree with that.
No.
Oh
no,
my God.
No, I'm sorry. You can disagree all you want. But it's true. When you take something off of her plate, when you take anything, like whether it's dishes getting done, picking up the kids, or maybe it's going to be a lot of those things, and just like, babe, I got it. You go. I mean, she's still going to be processing, because there's going to be a part of her that's going to be like, he's going to fuck it up. He's not going to do it. He's going to drop the ball. And part of it is like, I have to help women understand. It's like, he's not going to do it your way, and that needs to be okay.
Oh, that's where it is. It's not
Her way.
I'm doing it my way, but yet you're not going to be happy.
But
and then you're going to make me feel that it's not good enough.
But that becomes, right? That becomes a part of the narrative.
Yeah.
And she's got to change that. It doesn't have to be done your way. Part of it is, can you just allow him to do it? Because that's his act of love towards you. And if that, then we clear that space, right? She then learns to trust. And that needs to happen.
So how do you, and I've already gone over this with my therapist, but I'm just curious because I don't know if I actually got that.
I feel like I'm in competition with his therapist.
Building the foundation in a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
how and where does that start? Because, okay, so I'm going to go back to my experiences. I don't think I ever did in any relationship because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think about it. I just figured we're in it. I love you. You love me. We care about each other. Let's move on and whatever.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. But I never, and even till today, I think I kind of get it a little bit. But how do you build that foundation other than trust? I mean, you got to have trust and loyalty and those things.
So there's 4 cornerstones to a healthy relationship. You ready?
Yeah, because I fucked up my last one.
This is where I wish. This is where I wish I had a dry erase board.
And if she ever listens to this, I'm giving her kudos. I'm not gonna say her name. I'm giving you kudos because she always said we need to build our foundation, and I was just like, "The fuck you talking about? Fuck that, whatever."
That worked out.
But it crumbled, and she even said, "If we don't have a foundation, it's gonna crumble." And for years, and again, owning my own shit, I helped fuck it up. And I think in that part of it was that we never had that foundation, and it just continued to be just
shit show
on both our parts. But I think more so on my part, and I will take that because I didn't know what building the foundation was and how to do it. I don't want to say the right way, but to at least build something that there was something to continue building on. So I'm going to ask you, where does that?
I have all the secrets. I didn't tap though.
You didn't do the whole.
I shouldn't do that because that looks like I'm going to go in for a blowjob. That looks terrible. You better cut that out.
Oh, no.
And then we'll go.
No, that's staying in because when
Dawn.
I type in the captions blowjob, it's going to come up like.
Well, just send me a screenshot of this one. And I'll send that to Don because he'll be so mad. The microphone's getting more head than you.
So, how do you...
Oh, the editing you're going to have to do.
Oh, no, there's not going to be much editing done because this may just go in and fuck it. Because I don't give a fuck.
Oh, my God.
But, so going back to the... so what are the four...
The 4 cornerstones to a healthy relationship is trust and respect are in the top. And they're movable.
Okay.
You have to trust yourself. You have to trust your partner, and you have to believe that your partner trusts you. Respect. You have to respect yourself. You have to respect your partner, and your partner has to respect you. Those are the 3 questions. This is my formulation. And I'm the only one that does this. But those are at the top 2.
Okay.
Okay. And it follows in a Z for Zorro or Juozaitis path. So these 2 at the top, the bottom corner is communication.
I'm terrible. I was terrible. At
Okay, well then we know where you fall apart.
that. Yeah,
Okay,
I was terrible at communication.
But I have to be able to feel heard and understood by my partner, and have to feel that my partner hears and understands me. So that is how that is covered in the bottom, right? And you have to own your part as well as like the other person. That weighs in. The last in the bottom corner is intimacy, and that is not just fucking, by the way. Intimacy includes, oh wait, say it with me, vulnerability. Right? I have to share my hopes, my dreams, my deepest, darkest fears with the person that I want to be with. And if I'm not able to do that, doesn't matter.
But see,
But most people put all of that intimacy and they put it all into one bucket. And that one bucket is just whether or not we have sex. And I've done this so many times, and it is always somebody who is just like, yeah, but we have sex a lot. Great. And how's that going for you? Are you deeply satisfied? Ugh.
I think those deep conversations, I think, is where, it is the hard part, because then you got to be
Honest
honest.
with yourself.
Yourself and with the person that you're with because of
Where does it start?
with you,
Convention.
yourself.
Yep.
But at the same time, it's like, if I do, all right, so I'm going to give you the example, and I'm not going to say who it was, but I gave an example of something that was traumatic to me in my past life. And this person fell asleep while I was telling the story. Mm-hmm. And I'm like trying to be open and honest of like my past of whatever. And they fell asleep, and I'm like,
But why'd you take that personally?
because I guess I was expecting a different reaction of some type of empathy or understanding and acknowledging my experience of like what I'm trying to tell you and be vulnerable with you of this experience that I had.
Right, but timing's everything. Like if somebody fell asleep, right?
And so when that happened, I automatically shut off. I shut down. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm never going to tell you another thing.
Right, because you took it personally.
And then there was a part of me, as time went on, I'm like, okay, she was tired. She works 3 jobs. I was, it was late in the evening. We had a bottle of wine. The fireplace was on.
Yep, I'd fall asleep too.
Okay, so, but even in my head, though, giving myself those, not experience, but what the timeline, the facts of the timeline that happened, I still was butthurt.
Choosing.
And I took it personally.
Mm-hmm. But you were also then probably looking for a reason to be out.
This was early on in our relationship.
Doesn't matter.
But I didn't leave. But I kept it here. Mm-hmm. And I know...
Weaponized it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did. And again, if I'm going to own my own shit, I helped demise that relationship. So, and I didn't learn that until obviously later and going through what I'm going through, that I'm realizing I fucked up a lot of shit in that relationship, a relationship that I really wanted. Mm-hmm. But it was early on enough that I kept it in here, and I would play that. And maybe I even sabotaged my own shit, like doing things to know that she was going to get mad. Mm-hmm. And I just did it anyway.
Well, probably there's some part of you that also knew that she wasn't the person to be with.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
That's a tough one for me.
That becomes very true, though. Like, our bodies know who we are supposed to be with and who we're not supposed to be with. You can have those reactions. You just don't listen. I have absolutely known all of the schmucks and their dead bodies behind me that I absolutely should not have been with.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to listen. And there was also a part of me that was deeply scared, right? There was a scarcity mindset, like, oh, I have to make this one work. I have to make this one work. I had a lot of pressure on that too, as a woman, like, oh, well, you have to get married and you have to do this, and you're not getting any younger, you're not going to be any prettier. I am fucking gorgeous, by the way.
Yes, you are.
Confident.
I'm not going to say you're not. You are pretty.
But, right, but like
Don,
all
don't get mad.
Don't get mad, Don. But right, but it's just that. Like you know when they're not the right person for you. You just don't want to believe it. And there is a deep, deep, deep fear that people have of being alone. And if you're not honest with yourself and you haven't sat with yourself alone, it is going to continue to be. And there's a lot of really traumatized people out there.
Yeah.
Like all of these Facebook pages, they just make me bananas with like all of these like people dating, and they're just so traumatized, and I want to hug them all and smack them around a little bit.
Oh my God. The social media stuff is like a whole nother
nightmare.
It is. I mean, we can go into like a whole nother podcast on
the next time.
It will be the next time. Cause it's crazy. And I'm just starting to tip my toe into the dating field, and I'm on 2 apps, and it's a joke. I can't tell you how many times I've like started a conversation.
We're going to start with 100 things that you like about yourself, and then 100 things that would be compatible with you. I'll help you.
Okay, you heard it.
I'm going to be his dating
coach. You heard
coach.
It's going to be my dating coach. So yeah,
and then I'm going to give you the bill.
It's been a joke. I can't even tell you how many times like I started conversations like, "How are you? Hey, great weekend." Blah blah blah, and I think it's going, and then ghost. Like you told me you were going to a party with your girlfriends and you're having a dinner, blah blah blah. I leave you alone. Hey, have a great night.
But
whatever.
That's also the problem with like people having too many choices. They always think the next bus is going to come around.
I know that everybody's like all the things that you hear. That's what it is. But I don't want to. So in my earlier days, I would go to the bar. And I had no problem. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I had no problem with getting either a one-nighter or actually finding a relationship. But I was out drinking.
Or a one-nighter that lasted for way too long.
Well, whatever. But I was out drinking. And I don't want to do that anymore. I mean, I'm trying to take care of myself. I'm trying to take care of my body. And even then I was, but I was younger. I could bounce back like that. Obviously, I can't do that now like that. So I'm taking care of myself, and I don't have the want to go out bar hopping to find a person organically.
Right.
And it's like, and then I'm worried, like if I try to do something like talk to somebody in a grocery store, if I even attempt it, I'm more shy outside of like even, this is like getting me opening up a little more.
Okay.
But I am kind of shy, reserved. Thank you. Reserved. If I see someone who's attractive and I'm like, I don't know if they got a boyfriend. I don't want to walk up to them if they got a boyfriend and be like, excuse me, I'm married or I have a boyfriend, or I instantly would be like, all right, I'm not doing that again.
Why?
Because the rejection. I am afraid of rejection.
It's not rejection. It's just redirection.
Okay, well, redirection.
That's all it is.
Choose
the narrative.
What's that? Oh, at the owl, yeah. So we were at a bar.
We've broken through the wall.
We were at. So Rob, my videographer, we were at a bar, and he was doing a video shoot for this bar. And it's right here in Logan Square. And I'm sitting at the bar, and this very attractive woman sits down, and she's with 2 friends. And long story short, she was actually, her 2 friends left, and she was sitting at the bar by herself, not on her phone, just sitting, having a drink. And I didn't have the balls to go up to her because I just I didn't want to feel.
I mean, what is she going to do? Eat your face?
It was just the idea of the rejection. And I was still in my head, like I wasn't ready. Like I didn't feel like I was ready to go, because I still had my ex in my head a little bit. And I'm like, hey, it's all good. But she was very attractive. I'm like, why am I not fucking getting up and shooting my shot? And if I like,
Where were you at?
no, oh no. Rob was like, I will not take one for the team because they weren't his style. We'll leave it at that. And he goes, because I even asked, are you going to take one for the team? He's like, oh, hell no. So Rob was not helping Gus take one for the team.
What is wrong with all of you?
But I didn't need him to take one because she was there on her own. And I still didn't have it in me to, and I'm like, all right, I chalked it up for, I've been out of the game for 4.5, 5 years almost now, 5.5 years. And maybe I just didn't have it. And that was my excuse. Hey, you know what? You've been out of the game for a while.
So you gave yourself excuses.
Yeah.
Okay. Is talking to women hard?
Nah. All right, so if...
What is the rejection? Like, break it down for me.
So here, you know what it is?
Because I'm gonna hit you with some. I'm gonna hit you.
If you walked in with somebody that I know,
yeah,
and we get to talking, I'm on. It's game on. And if I know you're single and you're not with the person that you walked in with, and I know him, I'm total comfortable. Hey, how are you? Blah, 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 and I'll rattle. I'm game on. But if you walked in and sat down and guy and I don't know you, and I could find you totally attractive, I will not probably say 2 words to you unless you.
This is such a common problem for most men, and I have women ask me, they're like, "What is wrong with men today?" It's like we've scared them. And we have them right where we want them.
I know they say that the more attractive you are, the harder it is. That's what they say. I don't know if it's true, but they do say the more attractive you are, the harder it is for a guy to come up and talk to you. And
because you guys have created a narrative that every beautiful woman. I've actually had this happen. That every beautiful woman, I just tooted my own horn. Beep,
yes,
beep.
you did.
Has to be taken. I have had men actually, they're just like, well, I would have assumed that you were involved. And I was like, involved in my food, involved in my drink, involved in watching hockey or, the horse races, like whatever. Like, that's what I'm involved in. But you create the story. You are your own barriers. Like, in
our
most
own worst
women.
enemy. Like I said earlier, our own worst enemy.
Stop it. But and I understand, yes, men are afraid that they're going to be rejected. Women are too. Yes, men are very insecure these days. And I just had a patient recently who just started dating after her divorce. And she was just like, we had to split the bill. It means that he's not interested in me. I was like, what? No, did he say that? No, that's what it means. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Did you ask for the bill? She's like, I did. Okay. I'm like, you could have nudged him, but it's also not an assumption that men are going to pay for everything, especially on the first date anymore.
I'm so old school.
Well, congratulations, but that's not a thing anymore. Mm-hmm. Yay, feminism.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's working out really good right now.
But I mean, that's a part of that. It's part of this evolution. And so men are like, well, I don't know what to do. Like, what's the right thing to do? Am I stepping on her toes? Because there's a lot of independent women. Hi, my name is Kate and I'm an independent woman. Right? And I scare the shit out of men. Ask Don. Like what I did. And he did. He told me honestly, he was like, I had to just dig my toes in deep and just know that all of this is just real. And he was like, it wasn't, once he told himself that I wasn't scary. Then it was okay.
You're not scary.
She's not that scary.
No, but you know what?
She's kind of pocket sized.
I mean, for me, it is yeah, I have a hard time. If I find, so my last girlfriend, previous to my last girlfriend, before that, the girlfriend that I had before my last, she was my eye doctor's assistant. That's one appointment. I had one go because I'm not going back to get my eyes checked again. I had one go. She was very attractive. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how I found my inner whatever. And I hit on her and we went out. It didn't last long, but we on and off for a year and a half. But I don't know what, because I still sometimes think about it, I'm like, what the fuck did I do? Like, how did I find that, like, to be able to get her and to talk to her? I had one shot. I wasn't going back to the doctor's office again. Well, I'll never see her again.
The biggest thing is, like, the biggest question, so what? That's the question. Like, you're like, oh, I'm so afraid of being rejected. So what?
I guess it's just
what happens next?
What hurt and being
so
like,
what?
Yeah, I know. I know.
Wait, I'm going to do it again. So what?
Yeah, I know. I guess it's just in my head. Like, I don't want that feeling. I want that instant.
But that's it. You're avoiding a feeling.
Yeah.
That's it. So what? How long do feelings last? Anybody? 2 minutes. Anything after that? It's a story. And it's a story you created.
In our head. Yeah. Okay.
So you're avoiding something that's going to last 2 minutes. Like, I'm going to be really vulgar. You've had shits that take longer.
I love that.
And that's what you're afraid of.
No, you're right. And I'm going through it now. I mean, I'm in it. Like, cause either I'm going to be single and stay single, which I'm happy right now. I'm very comfortable in my skin right now. But do I want to be with somebody? 100%. Do I want to be able to shower somebody with the love that I know that I have, especially now?
Aww.
And the communication that I've learned to experience. And that's why I was asking about how to make sure I'm building the foundation properly and correctly.
Trust, respect, communication, intimacy.
But I never believed that before. Mm-hmm. I just thought it's automatically gonna come because we are
pun intended.
That it's automatically gonna happen because we're in love and we love each other and we're putting up with each other's bullshit or whatever. It's just going to be naturally. And it hasn't worked out.
Can I tell you a fun fact?
I've been single for over 20-something years. So it hasn't worked.
So knowing this and knowing that that's what you want, I'm going to let you in a little secret. You ready?
Sure.
Okay. Relationships.
Suck. No. No, I'm kidding.
First of all, relationships, partnerships, friendships even.
All end.
Are all ships, right? Ship is in all of them. Ships are meant to take us somewhere.
See? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So follow along.
Yeah.
So we have to know that there's a destination, right?
Yeah.
We're going somewhere, which means we also have to evaluate at some point in time, where's the destination? And are we still going there? My relationship, again, sorry, babe, but poor Don, gets evaluated every year. It's a re-up. We're not even married yet. And contractually, every year on our anniversary, we sit down and we evaluate where our relationship is. What have we accomplished? Are we proud of what we've accomplished? What are our goals? Mm-hmm. What do we want to do in the next year? Right? Because we're in a ship.
Yeah.
I'm the captain. He doesn't know that yet.
Oh, no, I'm sure he does.
I'm sure he does.
With
He
you,
lets
I
me.
guarantee he knows.
Right? And we have to evaluate it. And at the end, like, we both come in with our own stuff. He does his work, I do my work, and we sit there and we hammer it out. And then I ask him, do you want to do this again? He did.
I don't see very many couples.
No,
being
because
able
people,
to do, because no, that
people
is
get
like,
fixated and focused on the
you just don't want to
happily
see
ever
that.
after.
Yeah.
And they are so far out into the future, and that's why nothing works out.
But don't you feel that's a little transactional though?
No.
Because that's like doing a business plan every year at the end of the year and being like, okay, what did we accomplish for the year in our business?
But guess what? Your relationship is your business. You're investing in it. If not, it is divesting right in front of you.
It's the mental part of it, I guess, the way you look at it. Yeah, I mean, the way you look at anything in life
Yeah.
as to how do you look at it. See, I look at it like you're saying, I'm looking at that's transactional. That's like what we talked about earlier.
No, are we
It's
both getting our needs met? Are we both getting our needs met?
That's a
Are
really-
there problems in the relationship? I would rather address the problem sooner than later. I would also not want them to be passing by me so that I can't fix them.
Yeah. I think a lot of couples would have a problem with having that conversation on a regular.
I have a lot of couples right now that are very happy because they are doing this.
I mean, I think it's great. Man, that would just be something different even for me. I mean, I'm literally going to take that in because that's, I don't know if I'd be,
Why wouldn't you?
because you know what? It's that, again, it's the difficult conversation that you don't want to have.
Why not? If you
Because I don't know if
cannot
because you're not ready
if
to,
you
because I don't know if you
cannot-
don't want to hear it.
If you cannot have the difficult conversation, do not get in the relationship. And that is, again, that is about respecting myself
Yeah.
and trusting my partner.
That's yeah. I mean, you're right with what you're saying. I totally get it. But for me, only because I'm learning from you right now, especially, and it's just like one of those things that I would like seriously have to like, am I ready to hear? No, I'm not happy, and I think we should end it now. And because I'm not, like this whole past year has been like, eh. And then being able to be like, okay, it's done.
If we're
And
if
you know
you're
what
doing it that way, if you know every year you're going to be evaluating, and because you're going to be attentive, right?
yeah.
Because you know every year, do you want to do this again? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's not working. But then you can respect the person by being honest and saying, you know what, you're right. This isn't working. It would save people so much heartache from pretending.
I'm like trying to like how I'm right now. I'm like in my head with a certain person. I'm like, I don't know if I'd want to. I guess it's like not wanting to know, and you just hope that we'll go through another year of like let's.
How's that work for most people? How'd that
You're
work
gonna
out for
figure
you?
It didn't. No, you're right. That you just it would fix itself, and somehow it's gonna
Magic?
fix itself.
Oh, magical.
Well, by conversation or whatever, but no, I mean,
Yeah.
no.
No.
You're right. I mean,
I told Don that
Yeah.
actually on our first date.
that you're going to have a 1 year on your anniversary every year or whatever.
He sat there and he told me, he was like, I am dating with intention. I was like, congratulations, buckle up. And I was like, this is how this goes. And he was like, really? I was like, you're divorced. Hell yes. I was like, how'd that happily ever after work for you? It didn't. It didn't. It
Yeah.
didn't. And he sat there and we talked about it over dinner. And he was like, if we had done that, he was like, I would have been out year 3 and not 20 years later.
Yeah.
And in dating, we've done this. Because I was like, you just need to,
Yeah.
we'll do some dry runs with you.
Well, and for me, I'm obviously, nothing's worked for me. I've been single for the last 20 something years. So I'm down that path of doing things differently. Even if an ex, I don't know if that ever happened, but even if it did, I know that things would have to be completely different from where I am now from what I was then. Mm-hmm. Because I know what I want and I know what I've learned. And even now, like we're talking about this whole 1 year business plan.
It's not a business, it's not a business plan. But we need to keep the ship afloat.
But like going through it and then saying, hey, are we still going on the same route that,
Because-
maybe you are doing something
because
different
that
now because
happens,
you've got
right?
a different job or you took on a different responsibility that we didn't have when we started. And I'm not happy with that you're gone 2 days a week or 3 days a week and you're wherever. I didn't sign up for that. That wasn't what I signed up for when we started dating. Am I okay with that? Am I going to be able to deal with that?
But it forces you to have the real hard conversations.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people have a hard time even having those hard conversations. And that's why it just continues that we're together for 10 years, but I'm miserable. Because we can't have those hard conversations. Because we don't want things to either end or be single, I think, is what it comes down to. I could be completely wrong.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I would be choosing, like, do I want to be happy or miserable? And that's my choice.
Yeah, that's the...
You're either going to be happy with somebody because you're going to do the work with them.
Yeah.
Or you're going to learn how to be happy by yourself. Or you're going to be miserable with somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know. Life's too short.
It is. And you know what? And that's a scary part of being with somebody
I've never been married and I don't have any kids.
Yeah, life is short. And
I'm the girl that sits at the bar that he wouldn't talk to anyhow.
You're right. I probably wouldn't.
I'd be like,
yeah.
doo-doo-doo.
Yeah, I
Like,
would.
talking to
I probably
everybody.
would sit there and be like, I hope she says something like hi, like, hey, all right, now I can talk. Now maybe I can open up because she talked to me first because I'm not going because she's probably married, she's got a boyfriend, or hey, don't bother me, I'm working.
I would be busting your balls. Like, were you really going to sit right next to me and not say anything to me?
But see, I would love if a girl did that. Because then it opens it up like,
Again,
all right, I like this.
These
like
are the
this,
classes
this banter.
that I am
love
going
that.
to be.
Yeah,
I have like coaching programs like galore in my head.
So before we started, you said you're kind of maybe possibly transitioning.
I'm not kind of maybe. I am becoming a coach. There's so much that I need to do.
All right, so let's get into that. So how and why are you changing from the therapeutical part per se? Well, actually, coaching is therapy, right?
No.
In a sense.
No.
No?
No. Therapy.
I think you need another no.
No.
Okay.
Therapy is you coming in the door and we look at everything backwards. And we work through all of your traumas and all of your shit and like we figure out how you got to be where you are so that you have some understanding of who you've become.
Okay.
Coaching says, you're here, you want to get here, I bridge the gap. This is your journey. And it's great. I mean, it's also long and I have people that detour and, you know, they don't really want to do the work. It's so painful. I don't want to. Okay. Like, and you're prolonging all of it, right? And coaching, it's just, okay, well, here's where I want to go. This is how I want my life to be. Great. I then drive.
And we're like...
I put you in the sidecar and I say, read the map. Beep, beep.
So how are you going to take that business to the level that you want to go to now? Like coaching wise,
Oh, God.
like where, like, I mean, because we also talk about politics, like you're thinking about getting into politics and then you're doing coaching. So where and how is that all going to move forward to, we're in 2025 early on into 2026, if you're going to even think about doing politics? How are you going to, yeah, that's like, I mean, how
I
are
have
you
to
going
get married. Poor Don. We'll just keep saying
yeah.
that. Everybody now. Poor Don.
Yeah. So, all right. Since you brought it up, when did you already set a wedding date?
Nope.
All right, then we're not worrying about that. So, okay. So now you're going to do politics. I mean, you can be engaged for 4 years and then you do whatever. Please.
Nope. I said we have to, if we're doing this, I'm like, it has to happen before I turn 50.
All right. So you've got time. So,
got a
all right. So
year.
here we go. All right. So let's go coaching.
Yeah.
And then politics real quick. So how are you going to, so when are you planning on coaching, starting that? And then are you seriously thinking about getting into politics? Like we talked earlier.
I am on a mission clearly to transform lives. And however it is that I need to do that, that has been my purpose in life. Like, again, since as far back as I can remember. So the coaching is happening.
Okay.
I'm a purpose factor facilitator. So I am coaching right now purpose in people's lives and helping them have a roadmap to who they are and what they have to offer and bring their best to every opportunity that they have.
So do you already have a website set up for that? Phone number?
Well, I was working on my
everything?
website before I decided I had to leave and get here. So I do. It's garbage. So don't judge. My company is Lift as You Climb Coaching.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, it's been existing for like the last 3 years. I've done coaching with couples that are like really struggling in the bedroom. So I started there. And while they're great, it's not really where I want to land. I've created a coaching program actually for first responders. It's a retreat for them and their wives or significant others. I shouldn't make all of them men. But for couples and helping them really reconnect and understand and rebuild their relationship. My hope is that I will launch that later on this year.
That'd be awesome. I think that would help a lot of people.
Yeah. And really just focused on the relationships. And I think I'm going to focus really just on those that are retiring.
Okay. Perfect.
So there's that. And then I have a coaching program in my head that hasn't been quite birthed yet on dating post-divorce.
Oh, well, I'm way past post-divorce, but dating in general.
But helping people really understand like the do's and don'ts, and like women really don't want you to send them unsolicited dick pics. Like, just don't. We make fun of you.
That is hilarious because I don't get that either. Like, where guys think that they can just do that on any app, and other than unless you're with your wife or your girlfriend, like what the fuck is that?
They think dating is prostitution.
That's again, we could do a whole nother.
I'll come back.
So all right, so we got that, and then you did mention you're possibly, and my next episode is going to be with the alderman of Chicago, Alderman Lopez. I don't know if I have the nads or the skin to deal with politics, and I've thought about it. I don't know if I could deal with somebody coming after my family and completely like just trying to attack me that way. But you are contemplating possibly?
Oh yeah.
And who is in your district that you're possibly going to go?
Oh, I don't know. So I'm well, it's Tammy Duckworth and it's Dick Durbin and it's Raja Krishnamurthy, and I mean they're on the big scale, but I'm like I have a 36-year-old mayor and she's a woman and I am so proud of her.
Okay.
But I mean, there's all kinds of things I can do. Like my job, I just want to make positive change. Again, I'm a positive potato.
So when are you going to decide if that's the route you're actually going to go? Because everybody, I mean, even when I was talking to the alderman, everybody has to decide by August as to where they're going, who they're going to run, what they're going to run against. Position. So are you going to take that time to like really seriously think if that's something that you really
I want to do? Yeah. I mean, I have to say, Don gets scared.
I would too.
He's
Hello.
Just like, he's like, you have no filter. Like, what are you gonna do? How many people are you gonna piss off? And I was like, yeah, but I'm very friendly. I'm very kind, and I am actually very diplomatic. I'm pretty neutral.
Yeah.
So I'll tell anybody you're an idiot.
Yeah.
But like my whole, and again, I've been a mediator for like 12 years. Like I can find the middle ground.
Yeah. That'll be interesting. You got to keep us abreast as to like what you plan on doing. I mean, because Illinois politics sucks as it is. It's a shit show. And yeah, don't even get me started. That's a whole nother.
It's funny. My lawyer, my corporate lawyer, he told me, he was just like, you know, the thing about relationships is this, and he was like, and it's actually true in everything in life, is like both parties have to be equally happy and completely miserable. I have promised that to Don. You will be equally happy and completely miserable. You're welcome.
Don, be happy.
No, I make him miserable too.
Folks, so we are wrapping this up with Kate. It's been awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. And we are definitely going to come back. You are going to be my go-to therapist, and we're going to talk about a ton of shit more.
Go-to therapist.
Oh no, you're my go-to now. So thank you for watching. Remember, all facts, no fluff, and cheers.
Cheers.